Hi everyone, Matthew from Professionals at Prt1. Today I have with me Justin Nickerson, the Director of Apollo Auctions. Welcome, Justin.
Thanks, Matt.
Justin is a recognised leading auctioneer across Australasia, two-time winner of the Australasian Auctioneer of the Year and four-time REIQ Auctioneer of the Year, the only person to achieve both these distinctions. So can you give us a bit of a brief overview of your time in the industry?
Yeah, I originally started as an agent, so I first came into the industry as an agent in a suburb of Brisbane. Worked as an agent for nearly 4 years, so I got my grounding in kind of understanding how real estate works from an agent's perspective, and then from there became a full-time auctioneer, training a gentleman by the name of Jason Andrew, who's one of the best auctioneers that you'll find anywhere. So I was part of Jason's initial expansion of his business, so I learnt my craft under Jason again for 3 or 4 years, and then started out from there. And Apollo Auctions has been running since 2013, which is now grown to become more than auctions and media and training as well. So I've got a pretty long, it feels like, experience in the industry, over a decade now. But I guess relative to other people, it's still a baby.
And you've done very well for yourself in that 10 years. So just to start off, most of the time we get people that just flat out say no to auctions and that process for selling their property. Why do you think people shy away from auctions?
I think there's a lot of fear and misconception out there. The word auction is a word that kind of gets bandied around a lot, and people have a limited understanding of it, and might have seen one here or there that's in isolation. But the people generally fail to recognise that an auction is a sales process, not an event. We picture auction and we picture bidding and screaming and crying and laughing and Scott Can and all that kind of thing. But that's not really an auction. That's a very small, minuscule example of how a way an auction could potentially run. Auction is generally, it is a sales process that's designed to match your buyer and your seller up at the same point of the transaction, and that's all that it generally is. But auction also brings things out in public, and Australia's a pretty laid-back nation. We like doing things, quietly and without fuss, and auction really flies in the face of that. So that can make people very uncomfortable, and when you're uncomfortable, you generally fear things and you shy away from what makes you more comfortable. But we think the benefits of this to the seller sort of outweigh what uncomfortable feelings you might feel.
So can you just explain the process of an auction versus a private treaty option? Yeah,
well, we say that auctions really are broken down into two parts. So you've got no price marketing as your first difference from marketing with a price. So marketing with a price, I guess, gives you some surety that there's your price, people either like it or they hate it. If they ring up, they know roughly where you're going to be sitting price-wise, and then they're going to try and negotiate you down off that figure. Auction really exists and lives by not having a price and working on the fact that, okay, well, we know that buying a property is inherently a emotional transaction, so let's not try and price emotion. Let's let emotion come in first and then let logic justify it later rather than the other way around. But ultimately, it's just designed as a market researching exercise to find where do the buyers sit, in their opinion of what the value of the property is, and then put that in front of the seller in the form of a cash unconditional offer and allow the seller to make a decision, yes or no, do they move on with their life from that. And it's really that simple. Yeah.
And so I know sometimes vendors get disheartened or embarrassed that it doesn't necessarily go under the hammer. How do you approach that?
But auction day itself is 3% of the campaign. It's 1 day in the scheme of 30, potentially 40 days if it goes post-auction. So we shouldn't build that day up to be, the grand final, the Super Bowl, Easter, Christmas, all rolled into one. Yeah. That's just a day that we may choose to sell the property. So I think the really good agents that we do a lot with tend to really understand that and say, look, sometimes I'm going to sell it before the day, sometimes I'm going to sell it on the day, and sometimes, particularly in this market, I'm going to sell it after the day, after we've established that, there's no one that's cash unconditional at the level my seller wants. So then we've got to enter terms or introduce terms into the contract to allow them to bridge that price gap.
Yeah. So just because it doesn't go under the hammer doesn't mean they're not going to sell it.
Yeah, and look, we all feel good when it sells under the hammer. We feel good, you feel good, the seller feels good, but sometimes that's just the path it takes. But auction genuinely, and it's old auction dialogue, but auction genuinely gives you 3 different chances to sell the property. Yeah. Before, to a buyer that doesn't want to compete on the day in your traditional environment, and then post-auction to a buyer that may need terms.
Yeah. So just to kind of, we'll sum up a little bit, what kind of advice would you give people that are looking to come to the market in regards to auctions? So considering auction as a process for them, for their property.
Go to auction.
Go to auction.
And I'll paraphrase that because I'll say that buying or auctions are built around your seller. They're built around emotionally engaging a buyer. They're built around terms and conditions that favour a seller, and they're built around the seller nominating the date in which they want to sell the property. All of that is in your favour as a seller. Marketing with a price is built around the buyers. It's built around you put what terms and conditions you want in the contract. You tell us what day you want to buy it, and here's my figure that's the absolute most that you have to pay, but let's see how much cheaper than that you can get. Yeah. So don't let that fear of what may happen be the thing that holds you back, because one of those is built around your expectations and what you want to achieve, and the other side is built around what the buyers want. And ultimately our job is to work for the seller.
Yeah,
as much as buyers may not want to hear that. And there's advantages to buyers buying at auction, which we'll cover off, I'm sure, at another time. But for a seller, it's all stacked in your favour when we take the property to auction.
Yeah, fantastic. So that's just a bit of an overview of the auction process, trying to debunk some of the myths that we have. Stay tuned. We will be doing a couple of different episodes, one particularly for sellers and another one particularly for buyers. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, Justin, for having me.
Thanks, Matt. Pleasure. Good.